Which Arizona Cardinals rookies have the best chance to make an immediate impact in 2023? Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Once again, your team every day. I'm your host, Alex Clancy. Follow me on Twitter at Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Please go to the YouTube channel. We're on pace to hit 3,000 subscribers before the start of the 2023 season. If you'd like to help in that endeavor, be greatly appreciated. You can also check me out today with Tyler Rowland of Locked On Titans on Locked On NFL Thursday. I co-host that with him every week. Got some great topics to talk about, so that'd be a fun one to check out. A lot of noise surrounding the Cardinals since the end of the 2022 season. A lot of noise. Cliff Kingsbury, Steve Keim gone. Byron Murphy gone. Zach Allen gone. DeAndre Hopkins most recently gone. The report card where the Cardinals got F-minuses across the board, aside from a couple categories. Monty Ossenfort coming on his first-time head coach, or GM. Jonathan Gannon coming on his first-time head coach. Drew Petzing, Nick Rallis, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, first time, respectively. A lot of noise, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of things that the past Arizona Cardinals regime and roster we're dealing with or have dealt with or we're parts of. Nothing having to do with the rookies. And I felt like today was a great time to start to highlight some of these guys because there is a fantastic opportunity for these rookies to play right away. Not only because the draft was pretty much, and I've said this a lot, and then people started using it after me, but was a masterclass by Monty Ossenfort. Trading back up. Paris Johnson Jr. B.J. Ojulari. Garrett Williams. And on down the list. Michael Wilson. Clayton Tune. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. John Gaines. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, with this roster before the draft pretty much devoid of talent, save a couple players, the majority of them on offense that can be trusted, these guys are going to have some time to giddy up right away. They're going to have plenty of playing time. It is a wide open ocean for 2023 for the Cardinals. That's not to say that they're going to play poorly. That's not to say there's going to be this massive learning curve in an effort to play meaningful snaps for an NFL franchise in their rookie year. That's not to say any of that. And this is a great, great thing for fans, for the future of the team, and for the building of a new foundation and bedrock and infrastructure for Arizona Cardinals 2.0. The stars are aligning in a backwards way for this to be the best opportunity for the rookies to thrive in their first campaign. And I talk about this a lot, and I'm going to continue to mention this throughout, that it doesn't matter what Michael Bidwell does or doesn't do. There's no control that Michael Bidwell has over the trajectory of this team. And that sounds weird. Let me break it down for you. He signs the checks. Cool. I would love for him to be an absentee owner. Check in, sign some checks, just sit back and get rich, more rich. And let the football people do football things. Because we know a lot of things. One of them is he's not a football person. He does what he thinks is best. And it's just a control thing. And look what he's done the last 10 years. So the thing that I did mention was the Cardinals' trajectory doesn't have to do with Michael Bidwell directly. Monty Ossenfort can control what he can control. Like, picture a convention center. Okay? I don't know why I say convention center and not an arena. Let's go with convention center because I will go with it. And then picture one of those massive tents that are put up for outside weddings when it's raining or when it's expected to rain. And you have the heaters inside, or if it's cold, it's like picture Monty Austinford and the Arizona Cardinals down with that tent inside the convention center. It's still in the convention center, but it's its own entity. And if it's run like that in a bubble where Monty Osborne and Jonathan Gannon and the players can have control in building that new culture and infrastructure and systems in place to be scalable, if we're talking in a business sense, having the young players play a lot their rookie year and having the ability to do it can do nothing but benefit. It's a forced transformation at this point, but it's set up as such because it is a lot better than the definition of insanity that the Arizona Cardinals have been over the last decade. Wins, losses, doesn't matter. Same thing, different day. So while there's going to be dysfunction up top in some capacity because Michael Bidwell is Michael Bidwell, and if he really wants to flip the script and change the narrative on him and the organization as a whole, he'll go a little bit more absentee. I don't need to see Michael Bidwell. Just make sure that his signature still works when signing checks. So again, as we highlight, I'm going to highlight 3 offensive rookies and 3 defensive rookies because there are that many that can make an immediate impact this year, which could really pave the way for what the future of this team is going to look like. And that's fascinating. It's exciting. It's not a transplant team anymore. It's not. I used to say the Arizona Cardinals are a transplant team mirroring the city in which they play. Nobody grew up in Phoenix. Everybody moved here. And for those who did grow up in Phoenix, no offense, but you know what I mean. You've seen the transformation in the city of Phoenix and Maricopa County, okay? You know exactly what I mean. So while you have guys like, Zach Ertz and James Conner, who have really, they're Arizona Cardinals, like, honorable mention, but the very few Arizona Cardinals on the Arizona Cardinals roster, Budda Baker, DJ Humphries, Kyler Murray, that you like, that make, when you think of you don't think of Isaiah Simmons as a poster child to be as an Arizona Cardinal, Zaven Collins, you don't. You look at people who have been consistent every year, Pro Bowls, good performance, things like that. There are 3. Maybe Jalen Thompson probably deserves that also. But there aren't many. And now you can really just infuse this roster and this organization with a bunch of young guys who are going to play a lot of meaningful snaps, whether the Cardinals win or lose, in an effort to kind of position themselves to see what talent they have in-house in an effort to best script what they want to do for the next 5, 7, 8 years. And it starts now. Who are the 6 Arizona Cardinals rookies set to make the biggest impacts during the 2023 season? It's called the tease. But I'll fulfill the tease next after this. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by FanDuel. Make a fast break to FanDuel during the NBA playoffs. The finals start tonight, baby. FanDuel's got you covered with any bet you want to make, okay? Because right now, new customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. You want to bet that Nikola Jokic is going to have his over total of rebounds because Miami's not a great rebounding team, or you think that the number is going to be too high, so you take the under? You can do that at FanDuel. Think Jimmy Buckets is going to have a triple-double? You can bet that on FanDuel. FanDuel's got you covered across the entire board. Same-game parlays, those are my favorite, where you can bet a little, bet a bunch of things, over, under, rebounds, points, assists, steals, and potentially win a lot. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 2023 is going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. Please go like, subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. As we look at 2023, I talked about this on yesterday's podcast. Please go check that out because it goes more in depth about what I'm about to say. The Arizona Cardinals need to mimic what the Detroit Lions have done since hiring Dan Campbell. And I'm not comparing Dan Campbell to Jonathan Gannon. I'm not saying Dan Campbell's a great coach per se. I'm saying that what the Detroit Lions have done have completely flipped the script on the culture surrounding the Motor City as it pertains to their beloved football team, who have been one of the more dysfunctional organizations in the history of sports. And what they've done over the last 2 seasons is completely changed that. Has their win-loss record been great? No. Have they made the playoffs? No. But if you tell me that this Detroit Lions team is the same as it was before they traded for Jared Goff, and I'm not saying Jared Goff's the reason why. That was just kind of the beginning of the transformation with Dan Campbell getting hired and, them bringing in players, Jamal Williams having an absolute ball-out year last year. Like, it's different there. They even traded TJ Hawkinson mid-season. And they still were on the precipice of potentially making the playoffs. And they knocked out their rival, the big brother of, the NFC North in the Green Bay Packers in Week 18. It was one of the best things ever. The Detroit Lions are fun football now. That's how the Cardinals should loosely, take as a guide, it's possible to completely change the face of an organization and what people think about it. With that, rookies are going to come into play because the Cardinals don't have a whole lot of talent on this roster. It's just how it is. We'll see what happens with Isaiah Simmons. We'll see if Zaven Collins can take that next step. I think that I undervalue Zaven Collins a little bit. This is going to be his year to pop. This is the year that Isaiah Simmons had the chance to do it last year. We saw rumblings. We didn't see the real pop to Pro Bowl like I thought we potentially could. And with all of this, I'll start with the defensive players. Okay. And when it comes to, I think that I have 3 defensive players. I'm trying to count because I have 6 and I'm like, wait, what am I doing here? So the first one is B.J. Ojulari. Okay. The Cardinals pass rush last year was putrid's not fair. They had pretty good sack totals. Cam Thomas and Myjai Sanders came on late. J.J. Watt had a handful of sacks. But you could tell watching those games, the pass rush wasn't something that was, a fear of any team. It wasn't a fear. And with how high I was on B.J. Ojulari going into the draft, the fact that they were able to trade back with Indy or with Tennessee, who took Will Levis, they were able to get him at 41 and pick up another 3rd rounder. I think they got lucky. And coming out of LSU, he could make an immediate impact. Hit quarterback. His run stuffing ability needs to get a little bit better, but I'll tell you what, immediately in this scheme, with Nick Rallis calling the shots, I'm telling you that B.J. Ojulari could be that missing piece that the Cardinals have, needed to take the place of Chandler Jones. I know that they play a little bit differently, but his skill set is perfect for what the Cardinals defense are looking to achieve under Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis. So I think he can make an immediate impact right away. He's one of the best chances to do so. He's a stud. He's a great locker room guy. He's a great leader. He does everything. And that's something the Cardinals desperately need in an effort to start to check boxes where question marks currently lay. B.J. Ojulari, one that can definitely make an immediate impact. And it's like, well, obviously he's a 2nd-round pick. Understanding that the Cardinals need help everywhere will kind of lend more, texture to this podcast specifically. And that, with Cam Thomas can take a step forward and Myjai Sanders can become a pass rusher, who knows if Victor Dimukeje can take a step forward. Imagine having a 2nd-rounder and 2 third-round picks, and then what was Victor Dimukeje, a 6th-rounder? Be your pass rush and have it work with Zayvon Collins and Isaiah Simmons' accents, Budda Baker. Like, if it could work, Cardinals are in really good shape. So B.J. Ojulari is one. And I think the other, Garrett Williams. Garrett Williams, coming off the injury, okay, in college, out of Syracuse. He could have been, like, I've had really smart people on here. Trevor Sikkema and Brad Spielberger, both Pro Football Focus guys who, this is what they do in the draft. Like, Garrett Williams is a guy that would have gone maybe top 12, top 15. He definitely wouldn't have gone in the third round if he didn't get injured in college. And he's a guy, he's a banger who is something a CB1 hasn't really been for the Arizona Cardinals. Patrick Peterson didn't like to hit anybody, really. So if Garrett Williams can come in, there is a hole 100% in the cornerback room. Just look at it. I'm going to have you do some homework. I'm going to do it. I don't want to read it. Antonio Hamilton, Marco Wilson. If Garrett Williams can just come in and be a CB1 as a third-round pick, he can make an immediate impact, and we'll find out right when he's healthy. We'll find out, because these guys are going to get put on islands against some of the best receivers in the NFL. They play really good receivers this year, the Cardinals do. So we're going to find out, and it's not going to be pretty sometimes. It's going to be clunky. They're young. The game's going to have to slow down for them to make actual impact that their ceiling will allow. But to say that he could make massive impacts early on because of all the playing time he's going to get, I think is definitely the furthest thing from far-fetched. So if you have him and B.J. Ojulari really getting those time, that time on the field. I mean, you could even throw in Kei'Trel Clark in the CB room from Louisville. People looked at that as a steal in the 6th round. There's a lot of things that can happen with late-round picks, but you know what other teams have that the Cardinals don't seem to and haven't? Late-round pick success. Keontae Ingram, maybe the closest thing that we saw. Benjamin for like 4 games. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Keontae Ingram this year. But anyways, those guys are going to get chances. And you'll see over this podcast, the rookies that have the best chance to make impact. I'm going to say 7 guys. Well, how many did they draft? 8, 9, whatever? That's not the point is all of them are going to get playing time. Necessarily, because the Cardinals don't have good players. And that's okay. This is all by design. Overall, they've got good players. But at key positions where they're going to need to build for the future, not deep, which will give rookies more time, regardless of win-loss record. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Let's hit offense next. It's going to be fun. Stick around. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day. Free and available on all platforms. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Be along the ride with me. It's fun. That's how I do it. DM me on Twitter. Let's have a conversation. At Clancy's Corner. I don't care. If you follow me if you want. That's great. I don't do this for follows. If you want to have a conversation, you have a topic that you want to talk about, just if you don't have a Twitter account, just make one. It takes 2 seconds. Go at Clancy's Corner, hit that little mailbox and send me a message. Ask me a question. Topics, ideas. I've got plenty. I could talk all day, but if there's something you want to hear, I'd love to crowdsource. I want to make this your podcast as much as I possibly can. As we pivot to the offense. Okay, Paris Johnson Jr., fine. Immediate impact. That's obvious. Okay, 6th overall. Not like the other ones weren't because I just named the defensive rookies that the Cardinals drafted. But Paris Johnson Jr., obviously. We'll see what happens with DJ Humphries. Is Paris Johnson going to play right guard, and are they going to have Kelvin Beachum walk? Is he going to play left guard and have Kelvin Beachum play there? We don't know. The important thing to understand here is they drafted an offensive lineman who is set to be a stud for 10 years to come. And he can play multiple positions. Where he plays this year isn't really important, as long as he actually plays at an NFL level, shows growth. And, rookie offensive linemen, you can tell. There may be a reason why Josh Jones hasn't played a lot. Tristan Wirfs came in immediately. Was the highest rated offensive lineman in Super Bowl history, I think, as a rookie with Tampa Bay. Now it's Tampa Bay, I get it, but still, Paris Johnson, obvious. The interesting ones are the next three. And I'm going to go in ascending order. Michael Wilson, okay, wide receiver, Stanford. He's making waves in camp, okay? It's camp, cool. Good to hear that he can catch a ball and run routes. That's great. Like, I don't say that joking. Like, Chad Williams, we've come a long way with third-round wide receiver picks. He has the chance to be they're going to have all the opportunities. The wide receiver room, if everybody stays healthy, and I know that if everybody stays healthy is the thing, if everybody stays healthy. Hollywood Brown, Rondo Moore, Greg Dortch, Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., those guys are so fast. All the under 5'10 guys. Michael Wilson's bigger. They have Zach Pascal, who's going to play in some sort of capacity. But Michael Wilson's going to get reps, and we're going to find out. Regardless of who throws in the ball, we're going to see what the offense looks like. It's going to be like a practice squad quarterback running the offense, but in games. Like, my brain's going to melt, but I'm trying to get there. It's like you're watching a player mirroring Kyler Murray run the Arizona Cardinals offense for proof of concept, because that's what it's going to be if it's Clayton Tune. They're not exactly the same, but he's not, a stick figure in the pocket. Clayton Tune isn't. So Michael Wilson's going to get reps. He's going to get targets, and we're going to see, if there's a star wide receiver, you're going to find out pretty much immediately if there's star power in him. And that's not to say that you won't turn into a star if you don't see it right away, but if there is star power in him, you'll see it, which is going to be great, number one. Number two is John Gaines. Now, John Gaines is going to be potentially the starting center for this team, 4th-round pick out of UCLA. Remember, he was the run-blocking aficionado for Zach Charbonnet, who put up incredible numbers, who is now with Seattle. John Gaines, if the Cardinals lucked into, and we thought about this with Mason Cole in the 3rd round out of Michigan a handful of years ago. I think he was drafted in 2017 or 2018. Yeah, 2018, I think. Yeah, where it's like, oh, you know what? Big Ten school. He's fine. We'll see. John Gaines, again, making waves. He can play left guard. He can play center. He can play all over the offensive line. If that dude makes an impact, he's going to get reps, okay? Rodney Hudson's gone. So if he gets rep and you see him make an immediate impact, it's going to be incredible for the future of this team, because this is what it takes to completely change the trajectory of an organization, at least in a 2 or 3 year short term. Hit on draft picks. What a novel concept. And then the third one, Clayton Tune. He should be starting week 1. No question about it. If he can throw a football and he doesn't get absolutely lit up during preseason, start him. The dude's a baller. He's played 4 years. He hucked it all over Houston. Houston Cornerbacks, while having, varying success in the NFL, Case Keenum had a pretty good career. If he can come in and play, let him, because he's fun to watch. Go to YouTube and watch some clips on Clayton Tune. Duke can ball. So the reason why I laid this podcast out like this is to highlight the fact that the Cardinals had a good draft, and all of the needs that the Cardinals have, most of the needs that the Cardinals have, were met in this draft. And all of these rookies will have a chance to make impact because the Cardinals have such a massive need for talent in those positions. They're going to get all the opportunities in the world, and who the hell knows? It could just work out for the Cardinals. Locked on Cardinals, your team every day. Alex Clancy. I'll talk to you tomorrow.